If you take a hold of what you're going to hear today, it will genuinely make your life big time better. Would that cause you to lean in a little bit more? I give you my word. If you take a hold of what we're talking about today, it will genuinely make your life big time better. Because what I want to talk about, I want to talk about something, especially if you're not looking close enough, that we miss out on. Number one is we miss out on that we serve a really, really good God. Now we say it, we sing it, but I think a lot of times we miss out on that reality. And number two, we miss out on all of these things that we have to be grateful for. Church, we're blessed. I want you to hear me out today. You know, I'm convinced that in this cultural climate, and you live in DC, you're in the heat of it all. In this cultural climate we live in today, I believe a key ingredient that will fuel our ability. God didn't call us to be a light. He called us to be a radiant light that will fuel our ability to be a radiant light in this world is a heart of gratitude. It's when we live with a heart of gratitude. And on Friday night when I was here and with the Dream Team, it was an amazing night and they were showing gratitude. And I was thinking, what can I do today to launch this message out and talk, to show you my gratitude? Well, they had this game where they had 5 people get up here that could speak multiple languages. Let's see who can speak the most languages. My favorite brother up here was this little guy. They came up to him and said, "How many languages can you speak?" He said, 1. I love that guy. He was my favorite. But the lady that won it, she could speak like, are you here 5 languages? Is she in the house? 4. 5. You can speak 4. Well, one over here, lady, she spoke. It was amazing. So what I thought I'd do, I'd impress you. I know I'm from Arkansas. I know you're looking at me like here's a redneck with us today. But I'm going to impress you with how many languages I can speak because we got America in this room right here. I love that. No, I'm not America. We got the world in this room. And I love that. So I'm going to say thank you in a number of different languages. And if I'm saying thank you in your language, kind of respond back. You ready? You're going to be really impressed. Rednecks know how to linguistics. We're anyway. Spanish. Okay. Oh, I already told you what it was. Gracias, senoritas and senors. Did I say it right? Did I get it? Okay. Thank you. This is the first service I said it right. Okay. Oh, I love this one. Obrigado. Where's my Portuguese? Yeah, y'all go Portuguese. Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah, good. All right. How about this one? Come some bonita. Anybody know what that one is? I love that brother right there. Korean. Where's my Korean brothers and sisters in the house? Uh-oh, they left. There's no one left for Korean. Anyway, I could not get that one. Hey, how about this one? Mercé. Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Good. How about this one? Donka. Danky with donkey. Did I do it right? Oh, good. I was practicing. I was going donkey. You better not say that in this one. Donka, everybody. German. That's my German brothers and sisters. Any Germans in the house? Okay. All right. How about this? Oh, I'm pumped about this one. I got one right. I can do English. Thank you. You're welcome. But this one, asante. Do I have any of my brother asante? Anybody, brothers, sisters, asante? Swahili. Come on, somebody. Well, you're not impressed, Swahili. Didn't you say anybody speak Swahili but me? Okay, I'm the only Swahili speaking person in the whole way. Okay, and this is my favorite one of all time. I mean, this is it right here. And it's Summit. Thank you. Come on, somebody. That's it right there. Come on. All right. I gave it away. I am a redneck. I did not impress you at all with my language, but it's, hey, on a serious note, I believe, church, our world is ready for a breath of fresh air. How many Christ followers I have? Just wave at me one more time. Christ followers? Okay. I'm speaking to you today, and I believe our world is ready for a breath of fresh air that comes from Christ followers who are living a life of gratitude. Look at Philippians 4:6. It says this. It says, don't be pulled in different directions or worried about a thing. Be saturated in prayer throughout each day, offering your faith-filled requests before God with overflowing. Help me out, church. Oh, come on, one more time. With overflowing gratitude. Come on, and tell him every detail of your life. Then God's wonderful peace, it's matchless, that transcends human understanding, will make the answers known to you through Jesus Christ. Gratitude sets the stage for us to walk in God's blessing and for us to experience this peace that passes human understanding. And listen, I am a firm believer of this. If you're a Christ follower, which I've seen a whole room full of them, every Christ follower has the potential to truly live this life of gratitude. Parents out here, believe it or not, sooner or later, your kids will say yours instead of mine, 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 mine. It's coming. So I want to jump into this today by starting out with kind of trying to explain the way Jesus explained this banquet in Luke chapter 17. Jesus is talking about this king who is inviting people out to the banquet. And he grabbed this king, grabs a servant, and he says, I want to go big time on this banquet. I want you to go out and invite. So he goes out and he's inviting and he comes back and he says, King, he says, I've been inviting, but I'm sorry, sir. He said, because it's not going well, because people are busy, their work, their kids, their sports, their marriage, and all of these things. And the king says, what? And then we pick it up here in verse number 21 of Luke 14. He says, quickly, get out into the city streets and alleys, collect all who look like they need a square meal, all the misfits and the homeless and the wretched that you can lay your hands on, bring them here. The servant reported back, Master, I did what you commanded and there's still room. And the master said, then go to the country roads and whoever you find, drag them in because I want my house full. And the truth is, that's exactly who we are. We're the misfits. Listen, I can relate to this so much. So many of you, we have similar stories, I'm sure, but I grew up under so much dysfunction. My dad left me thousands of miles away when I was young. My mother ended up being an alcoholic. She had depression. She was suicidal. We were on food stamps. I was embarrassed a lot of times. I had an influencer in my life, and I can still remember these words. He used to say to me, Pagley, you ain't ever going to be nothing, and you're never going to be a blank, blank anything. And he would say that to me over and over again. And I want to say this to you right now. The only reason I'm standing here as a pastor today is because the king invited me to his table. And some of you out here, listen, some of you out here, you're the broken. Be honest with you, you're the lame ones. You're the ones that he had to drag in, elbow that person right now. You're them. And because you were invited to the king's table, we all have something to be grateful for because we're sitting at the table of the King of Kings, undeservingly so. Give him one more hand. That's how good he is. So, but this is what happens. See, just like in that parable, though, what happens is we begin to forget or get caught up in all the blessings. And we begin to forget how much the king has done for us and how blessed we really are. And I think one of the things that work against us living in this great nation is that we are blessed here. That we have so much we take for granted sometimes, all the blessings that we have. I'm reminded of this wealthy young man who used to love to give his dad a very unique gift every year. And this one year, one year he gave his dad hang gliding lessons. The next year, he gave his dad the entire record collection of Elvis Presley hits. If you know who Elvis is, nothing but a hound. He autographed by Elvis himself. But this past year, he outdid himself. He literally purchased a rare kind of bird from South America. It was called the translator. It could speak 5 languages, and it can sing nothing but a hound dog in all 5 languages. This thing was amazing. But it was $50,000 for this bird. But he said, you know something? It's going to be the best gift I've ever given my father. I'm going to buy it. So he bought his father the gift. And after about a week, later, after he sent it to his dad, he said, he called Dad, how do you like this bird? How do you like that bird? I said, his father responded, son, I love it. It was delicious. Point is, we have so much, but sometimes we can't see the great value of all that God has given us. That was actually pretty good preaching right there, whether you believe it or not. Francis Schaeffer said it like this. He said, the beginning of man's rebellion against God was and is the lack of a thankful heart. Romans 1:21 says, although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God, as he truly is, nor gave thanks to him. And I don't believe anyone ever sets out for this to become them. But if we're not careful, everybody, we could land here. Because if I'm going to be honest with you, I am not a very grateful person by nature. I always want more. I want something better. I want it faster. And I want it now. And I realized in my life, I need to be more grateful. Actually, I did some research on this, and it's interesting, the studies on grateful hearts and living a grateful life. Gratitude, many experts say this, it's the value that unlocks so many other values. A great philosopher said it like this. He said, gratitude not only is the greatest of virtues, but it's the parent of all others. And listen to what gratitude does. I want you to think about this. When you're grateful, you'll agree, gratitude makes you generous. Gratitude makes you encouraging. Gratitude will make you thankful. Gratitude will make you faithful. Even when you're facing difficult situations, when you become grateful, it empowers your spirit to persevere. Like Pastor Eddie said earlier, I have 3 grown kids. Actually, I have 9 grandkids. I have 3 grown kids, and I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable today. My oldest daughter, at 26 years old, she took her first drink. She had 2 kids and she was married. And her life has never been the same since. She became an alcoholic. She lost her marriage. She lost her kids. And for the last 14 years, in and out of rehabs, doing everything imaginable as you would do as a parent. And I got to tell you sometimes, to be really transparent with you, there are times that I just wanted to give up. There were times like just to believe that she was going to come out of this. And there was a time that it was really getting bad. You know, there was times like I didn't know if my prayers were getting above the ceiling of my room. I mean, year after year after year after letdown after letdown. And I remember one time the Lord stopped me and he reminded me of my other 2 kids. Because my other 2 kids are following God's plan for their lives. I am so proud of them and what I've seen in them. And as I began to think about the blessing of the other 2 kids, faith began to rise up on the inside of me. And I began to get encouraged. And I began to think, God, if you can do it in these 2, you're going to do it in my 3rd. Can I hear an amen? But see, that's what gratitude, that is the power of gratitude. Gratitude unlocks all of these positive qualities emotionally, relationally, physically. Look at the studies. I could sit here and give you so many things. This is fact. Okay, did you know that gratitude changes the neural, am I good there? Neural? Okay. Neural structures in the brain to make us feel happier and more content. It does. Did you know that the benefits associated with gratitude include sleeping better? How many can use some better sleep? Gratitude. I was talking to a man after first service. He was telling me, Pastor Mark, that message hit me today. He said, and you're right about the better sleep. He said, every night before I go to bed, he said, I spend time before I fall asleep thanking God for everything I can think to thank him for. It's true. Listen, gratitude, the benefits associated with gratitude is more exercise. Some of you need some more exercise, okay? You want to reduce symptoms of physical pain, lowers levels of inflammation, and lowers blood pressure. Listen to this. Did you know writing a letter of gratitude has been shown in this study to reduce feelings of hopelessness in 88% of suicidal inpatients? Wow. And listen to this. Did you know that employees who experience more gratitude at work report fewer depressive symptoms and stress? How many of you are saying right now, Pastor, pray for my boss, right? Pray for my boss. Anyway, but guys, there is so much to it. It can transform. This can transform your heart from the way you feel. You know, Pastor Eddie, and I shared this with Pastor Eddie before, but you know, it's interesting to me. I talk to so many people who are angry at God. They're angry at God because God didn't do something the way they thought he should do it or didn't do what they wanted to do, but they treat God like God owes them something. When the truth is we owe him everything. And see what this helps us with being a grateful heart, it helps us, man, not to take on this worldly culture of being sucked into entitlement. So what I want to do is I want to show you this very interesting story in the book of Luke, chapter 17. And some of you have read this and you're familiar with this. It's a description of these lepers. They encounter Jesus, and we see tragically a lack of gratitude. Let's do it in verse 11. It says, now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men, how many men were there, you guys? 10, okay. 10 men met him. They stood at the distance and they called out a loud voice, Jesus, Master, have pity on me. A lot of times we can be reading this verse, but we really don't understand the intensity and the desperation of these lepers. I mean, when they're shouting this out, I mean, it's coming from the deepest roots of their heart. Because if you go to Leviticus 13, you're going to see how that culture treated lepers, how they were handled in that culture. First of all, they had to tear all their clothes. They had to tear them so when people were coming, they could tell that they were lepers. Number two is they could never have their hair neat. They have to have not just a bad hair day, they had to live a bad hair life. I don't know why, but if you read it for yourself, go to Leviticus 13. And then they would have to cry out, unclean, unclean, when someone was approaching them or they were approaching somebody else. And if you just could imagine the pressure they felt, and can you imagine the rejection, living a life like that? And on top of that, and I apologize ahead of time because it's going to be kind of grotesque. It's going to be kind of gross here, is on top of that, their body would literally be oozing with sores, losing fingers, toes, hands, skin hanging from their face, their eye sockets exposed. Truthfully, if you ever watched that series, The Walking Dead, similar to some of that you saw. So when Jesus, when they see Jesus, they see this hope of a whole life again. They see this hope for healing. So when they're crying out, have mercy on me, it's desperation. Let's pick it up in verse 14. And when Jesus saw them, he said, go show yourself to the priest. And as they went, this miracle came down from heaven. Look at this. The Bible says they were cleansed. How many of them were there, guys? Remember? 10, okay? Verse 15, one of them, when he saw that he was healed, he came back, praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him, and he was a Samaritan. Verse number 17, Jesus asked, were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except for this foreigner? 10 lives were miraculously transformed. I mean, having no hope, but given a normal life again. And only one of the 10 came back and said thank you or showed gratitude. Now, I want you to look within yourself right now. I want you to get everybody else out of your mind, and I want you to think about you right now. Because I really thought about this. And I thought about, Lord, are you showing us that, we're thankful with the people around us on average of 1 out of 10 times? Lord, are you giving us this stat? And I think I'm right about what I'm getting ready to say. Are you giving this stat to us because the truth is our stats we probably only give you thanks for the things you have done for us an average of 1 out of 10 times. Because I started thinking about those other 9 lepers. You can't tell me those other 9 lepers were not thankful. They were thankful. I bet you every one of them say, okay, I've got to make sure I get back. I'm going to go tell Jesus, thank you. I'm going to show my gratefulness. But what happened? Life happens. And before you knew it, they got moving forward in life. And before you knew it, they forgot. And you know what happens to us? We get so busy, we get moving so forward in life, it's happening so fast that God is blessing us. We have blessings from the Lord all over our lives. And about 1 out of 10 times, it may be on Sunday morning, you get here and you remind yourself of how much you need to be thankful for. And the reason I say that, I can't look down on those 10 lepers, because I think about it myself. So I've declared this brother right here, I'm going to let you know, if there's 1 out of 10 having a grateful heart, you're looking at him. If there's 1 out of 100 having a grateful heart, you're looking at him. How about out there? Who's with me today? If there's 1, I'm looking at him. So how do we do this? So how do we get this grateful heart and begin to get really intentional with this? Well, we're going to look at 3 things here I think we can adopt to choose a life of gratitude. If you're taking notes, number 1, God is always good. Now, we hear this a lot. I want you to lean in here. Because God's goodness is his character. See, goodness is one of God's attributes. Like God good is who God is, but good is what he does as well. Psalm says it like this: you are good, and what you do is good. Teach me your decrees. Good began with God. We work on it. That's a goal. That's something we are trying to obtain. But for God, good is who he is. And the Bible tells us in James, every good gift comes from above. And we got to understand, listen, because your mind's going to be going different places here. I need you to track with me. We got to understand every good gift that you have comes from God. And I know what some of you are thinking, because I've done the same thing. Like, wait a minute. No, I've worked hard for this. I busted my tail. I did years of schooling. I've worked to get myself to this place. I've worked hard for this. And this is what I'll say to you. Yes, you have been a great steward of what God has given you. But every place where you succeed, you're succeeding with a gift that God gave you. Because God's the giver of all good gifts. In fact, look throughout the scriptures. Anyone that was a success in scriptures, look at them all. Like Noah. God's the one that gave him the blueprint. He gave him the skill to build that big ark and that big boat that rescued his family. Think about Esther. God gave her that beauty that rescued a generation. You think about David. God gave him the skill with the sling. God gave him the stone that dropped that giant in his life. Think about the Virgin Mary, the teenage girl. God gave her the faith to be able to birth the Savior of the world. Think about what God's given us. He's given us the Holy Spirit to empower us, to equip us, to guide us, to help us. He's given you friends to love you. He's given you a life to live for his glory. He's the giver of all good things. Everything our God does is good. And when you embrace this, that everything we have is a gift from God, it changes your attitude. Yes. Instead of the addictive attitude of our culture called entitlement, we begin to embrace an attitude of gratitude, which overflows in all these other positive attributes that we talked about. Number 2, you got to lean in and think about this one. You can write this one down, take a picture of it, whatever. I will not let what I want rob me of what I have. I don't know what you want, but I know a lot of people want a better car. We want a better house. We want a little travel. We want some different clothes. We want some better kids. Can I hear an amen sometimes? I want this and I want that. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. On it goes. Solomon said something in Ecclesiastes 6:9 I think is brilliant. He said, better what the eye sees. One translation says it like this: enjoying what is available than the roving wandering of the appetite. And what he's saying here, what you have is better than longing for something else to make you happy. Oh, I don't know if you're getting that, because it could blow right by you, but it is a powerful truth. It reminds me of this couple that was walking along the beach. They were both 60 years old. They've been married 40 years, and they kicked up a magic lamp. They pick up the lamp, and they rub the lamp. Boom, out comes this genie. They're face to face with this genie. The genie looks at him and said, oh, what a sweet couple. You've been married so long. And, since you guys are so sweet, I want to give you each one wish. So the wife was ecstatic. She says, I want us to go to Hawaii. Can you Man, he nodded his head. Boom, 2 round-trip tickets to Hawaii, all expenses paid in Hawaii. She was just thrilled. The man now, the husband, was like, whoa, like this is real. Like this is once in a lifetime opportunity. Then he looks at his wife and he says, honey, I'm sorry. And he looks at the genie and he says, I wish that I had a wife that was 30 years younger than me. And the genie said, are you sure? And he said, absolutely. So the genie nods his head one more time, and just like that, the husband turns 90. You know, Pastor Eddie, I'm a little funnier than you give me credit for. No, I'm sorry right now. Whenever you adopt gratitude, it turns to whatever we have into enough. See, what gratitude does, it turns what's before us, because there's a journey to enjoy right before you, right now. It turns it into enough. And what's crazy, and I don't know who said this, but it's so true. It's not happy people who are grateful. It's grateful people who are truly happy. Amen. So I'm not going to let what I want rob me from what I already have. What do you already have? Well, I would say this, and I think I'm probably right about this. Every one of you can go home today and you can have 3 meals, right? Some 4 meals, some 5 meals. I'd just encourage you to bump back to 3 with a few snacks in between. You know what I'm talking about? But you can. You have plenty of food needs. Mostly everybody in this room, you can at some point go pay someone to serve you a meal and to cook you a meal. Everybody in this room, you have a bed to sleep in and you have clothes to wear. Almost everybody in this room, you have a pair of shoes, at least one, when most people in the world don't even have that. And you want to talk about a job. If you have a job, you're extraordinarily blessed. Listen to this. If you make minimum wage, you are making approximately 32 times the average wage of half the people alive today. And we're incredibly miserable, wanting more and more and more. And most of you have a phone that does things more than talk. Like you can FaceTime with somebody. Now, sometimes somebody doesn't want to look at your face, but you can FaceTime somebody. You actually can send a signal up in the sky. It'll come back down and you have a pepperoni pizza with extra cheese at your door. The Uber driver will be at the end of your driveway. And listen to this. You got to hear, most of you are so blessed you actually can upgrade things that are working. Like it's working, but there's a newer, better working thing. So you can take your working thing and upgrade it with a better working thing. How blessed are we? Think about that. And here's what you need to do every now and then. I'm going to advise this to you, and I'm right about this. Every now and then, you need to leave this country. You need to go somewhere where it's really third world. And this is what's going to happen to you, because I've taken hundreds of people, and it happens to me almost every single time. You're going to get there, you're going to look at all these people, and you're going to feel bad for them. You're going to see the situations they're living in, it's going to break your heart. But then you're going to get to know some of the Jesus-loving people that live there, and all of a sudden you're going to start to realize that they have some things that you don't have. You're going to be looking at them like they have more time. They have more time with their kids. Like you're looking at them like, man, they have a vibrancy about their faith that, man, I want some of that. You're going to look at them and you're going to see some things in them like they have this peace. It's just different. I want some of that peace. And all of a sudden, what begins to happen, instead of feeling sorry for them, you start feeling sorry for yourself. Because what you realize that you have so much, but it's like you have so little. And it's like they have so much. They have so little, and it just seems like they have so much. See, when we open our eyes to these things, don't get me wrong. It shocks you, but it will cause you to be grateful. Gratitude turns what you have into enough. Paul had a revelation of this, and I'm going to encourage you to study this week in Philippians chapter 4, 11 through 13. Paul said, "For I've learned to be content, whatever the circumstance." I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in every situation, whether I was well-fed or hungry, whether I was living in plenty or in want. And then he said, here's the secret. He says, I can do it all through Christ who gives me strength. I like how one commentary said it. It said, Paul had the strength to do everything in everything. Oh, it's so good. He got to the place where Jesus was all that he had. And as one man said, until you get to the place that Jesus is all you have, you'll never truly realize that Jesus is all you need. Amen. So when we get to that place, man, I'm going to tell you, you begin to realize how blessed you really are. Whether you have a lot, you know what matters? Is he's what matters. You know what satisfies? Jesus is what satisfies. He is what you need. And lastly, we're going to land it here. I'll turn every blessing into praise. Because every time I don't turn a blessing into praise, it turns into pride. I deserve that. I earned that. I went to church. I should be given more. I served here. I did that for the Lord there. I should have extra benefits from God because I deserve more. Every time we don't turn a blessing back into praise, it becomes pride. I love what David said in Psalm 63, 3-5. It says, because your love is better than life, my lips will glorify you. I will praise you as long as I live. And in your name, I will lift up my hands. I will be fully satisfied as with the richest food. With singing lips, my mouth will praise you. I will turn every blessing, David is saying, back into praise. So how do we become thankful? How do we praise God like that? Well, I'm going to give you a little exercise here in a minute to help you, but I'm going to share a story with you first. My daughter, my youngest daughter, she has 5 kids. They live in Atlanta. And they go to a big church. It's called Passion City, if you know anything about it. But they go to this church. They were out in the foyer after service. There's thousands of people there. And as they're talking, they look down, and my grandson Xander's gone. And they can't find him anywhere. They're grabbing security. They're grabbing people, and they're looking for him. And my daughter was saying that it felt like hours. And as she's telling me this, it's like my heart's thumping. Like I'm not even there. And Dad, it's like, and she said, Dad, it seemed like hours. Nobody could find him until this one guy comes walking in from the parking lot. It was their friend. And he was doing the parking that day. And he had Xander with him. And he walked in and he said Xander was out at their van waiting on them at their van. And after they raised Xander from the dead, because my daughter killed him, anyway, it was like all of a sudden, the worst day ever became the best day ever. It's like, God, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the only thing that changed, think about this, is perspective. That's the only thing that changed. So I want to help you today. I want you all to just shut your eyes for a moment. You really have to lean in there. You have to do what I'm asking you to do. I want you to think about something here. I want you to think about someone that you love so much that you may be taking for granted every single day, and I want you to pretend right now like you just lost them. Go ahead and shut your eyes and think about that. Think about someone that you love so much that maybe you take for granted every day. And I want you to shut your eyes. I want you to go there. And I want you to think about that you lost them. All right, enough of that. Now pretend like you got it back. What do? Grateful. You're thankful. Suddenly you start thanking God for what you already what? Have. I thought I was thinking about my mother, I lost my mother about 7 or 8 years old. Gosh, it's 9 years now. But when I was preparing this message, that's what I thought about. I shut my eyes and I pretended like my mother's been gone. I pretended like she was here. And can I tell you what started bubbling out of my heart was gratefulness and thankfulness. I think I would call her 10 times a day and tell her how grateful and thankful I am. What an amazing mom, what an amazing grandma. And I would go on and on and on. See, when you do this, when you realize and you start thanking God for what you already had, because you have so much to be thankful for. It's like instead of saying, I am tired of my car, you say, God, I thank you because I have a car. Instead of you're saying, I am tired of my home being so messy all the time, you say, God, I thank you. I got a husband and I got some kids and I got some blessings that make my house messy. Instead of our attitude, hey, I'm busy, all of a sudden you say, no, God, I'm thank you that I got friends, I got things to do, I got kids to run around, I got a great church to be part of. I thank God that I'm busy. Do you see the shift? Do you see the perspective shift? Oh God, this church is getting so big I can't get in and out of the parking lot. And there's nowhere to sit. I got to sit by smelly people sometimes. God, I'm just not. Instead of complaining about the church growing so much, it's like, God, thank you for letting me be part of a church that's reaching thousands of people right here in Washington, D.C. See the perspective change? It's a game changer in our life. We're going to stay, when the whole world around us, because it's so negative, when they're tearing down everything, we as the church, if we stay grateful, why? Because we serve a really, really good God. And because we recognize we're going to not let what we want rob us from what we already have. We're going to turn every blessing back into praise where it belongs to our good God, because he is worthy of our praise. Actually, this is what David did. David did this, and I'm going to ask you to do this with me. We're going to read Psalms 103, 1 and 2 together, but I want you to read it in a way like David. David was, when he was reading this, man, it was coming out of the deepest part of his heart, because it's the truth. It was not only the truth for David, it's the truth for you. So I want you to help me to land this message today. We're going to read Psalms 103, 2 through 5 together. You guys ready? Here we go. Let all that I am. All right, wait. I didn't know you weren't ready yet. Okay, come on. What, you think David was, let all that I am? No, come on. Here we go. Let all that I am praise the Lord. May I never forget the good things he does for me. He forgives all my sins. He aces it. Come on. He heals all my diseases. He redeems me from death, and he crowns me with love and tender mercies. Now let's give him some praise. Yes. Yeah. You get a hold of that, look out. That's all I'm going to tell you. Well, I'm going to challenge you today. And I'm going to say this to you. I'm going to be really honest with you. If you don't take this challenge, God's going to get you. I'm just going to tell you that right up front. It may not be biblical, but I'm telling you anyway. But listen, I'm going to give you a challenge today, and I'll say this to you. If you'll do this for 7 days, you'll see the difference in your life. And this is the challenge. You're going to put it up on screen here for you. Here it is. What I want you to do is, first, I want you to find 3 people daily. Now, when I say this, I'm not, my kids would get in fights. I'd put them on this couch. I'd make them say nice things to each other. You ever do that with your kids? My son would look at my daughter. I said, Caleb, you got to say something like, you got nice hair. I said, Caleb, because I'm not talking about that kind of thank you. I'm talking about something with substance to it. I want you to find 3 people every day and give them some gratitude with some substance to it. And then the second thing I want you to do is this. I want you to find 3 things daily that you are grateful for and give God thanks. But not to drive by, not to real quick. You need to take some moments here. I'm talking 5 minutes in your car by yourself, wherever you get a moment by yourself. And I want you to stop, and I want you to say it from your heart to his. Okay, and this is my promise to you. At the end of 7 days, if you'll do that every single day, you'll begin to experience the difference that a life of gratitude can make in your life.
We hope this message inspired and encouraged you. Thank you for your financial support that allows Summit to bless this community for Christ. If you'd like to give to Summit Church, click the Give link in the description box.